doing?
Good. How are you?
I am doing very well. This is
You have a
definitely,
strange shirt on.
yeah, I do.
Nice. I was for a little while there. We were in talks for me to play Emily the Strange when I was younger, when I was super.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah, I remember we had actually talked about that once when it was possibly happening. And
I was like 14, I want to say. That would have been super cool though. Yeah.
yeah, it's weird that they've never done anything with it, but
No, especially in the day of in this age of streamers, I think it would be really interesting. You could
yeah,
go into it.
yeah. Well, I've always loved the character. So,
Yeah, big time. But
well,
hello.
this is definitely an interesting project. I mean, I think there's such an interesting balance to this between this like deeply personal human story and this like deeply impersonal cold android story.
Yes, yeah.
When this project came your way, what was your reaction the first time you read the script?
Well, I already knew about Mattson Tomlin as an amazing, writer. And this came from Matt Reeves and Rafi over at their production company. And I trust them so inherently, from the Let Me In days. And when they brought Mattson and his project to me, I immediately read the script and finished it within probably 90 minutes. It was in and out and it was a thrill ride. And it was the way that he threaded the needle between that juxtaposition, the coldness and the apocalyptic circumstances of it all, but also the motherhood and the love and the complications of being a young mother and in a relationship where there was already kind of division in a lot of ways. And also to add that on top of it, it being a love letter to Mattson's biological parents. This is a story based on his own true life. And this was the end that he found on his parents' story. So that kind of personal touch to it is one that I felt that a sci-fi film doesn't often have. But when you can put that into a genre film, I find that those are the best types of genre films is when they have that gravity to them, where you can have all this frivolity in a lot of ways and expansion, but at the heart of it, you have a real story.
When you read a script, do you go into it with an eye on the character you'd be playing to see what you'd be doing, or do you try to read it more for the overall story the first time you experience it?
It's definitely kind of a two-sided thing. It's definitely, on one hand, what is this character like? What would it be like to become this character? What would it feel like to step into her shoes? Does it scare me as an actor? Does it kind of get your kind of fire underneath you lit to want to have that drive to sink your teeth into it? And then on the other hand, you obviously want to watch it. You want to read it as if you're watching it and see how much of it lends itself to viewership. Is it interesting? Is it exciting? Is it enticing? Does it flow? How much work might need to be done to the script when you talk to the director and all those type of things. And honestly, it was perfect as is. And there were just little things that I wanted to find with Algee in the conversation pieces that felt right for the character, and to make her not this glowing matriarchal, pregnancy is amazing kind of female character, but more like, this is fucking hard. This is difficult. And do we want to do this? How are we doing this? And can they rise above it?
Your primary co-star in this film is the pregnant Belly. So what was that like to wear? Was it different than you expected? What was that like?
Yeah, it was so difficult. It was a 21-pound silicone belly attached to a corset. So a corset is already hard.
Yeah.
A 21-pound belly on the corset, not very easy. But I think, it was important that we wanted to find the right closures for it. That way, I didn't want to feel agile and lithe, and light and easy. I wanted it to feel arduous. I wanted it to feel difficult. I think that was the mainstay when I talked to new mothers and women who have had children, was that across the board, pregnancy is not easy. It's very difficult. And when you're about to pop, you're pretty over it at that point and you're just ready to have a baby, And so I wanted to add to that, and have the restricted breathing by the corset. That way, in those emotional moments, like in the tent between the two characters when we're talking, it's hard to get your words out even, when you're heart rate starts to get up and you're restricted that way. The constraint of it all was very interesting to play with.
You've grown up as an actor and you've been developing your craft for a long time now. You've already played such iconic characters like Kick-Ass and Let Me In and Carrie, even voicing a character in Addams Family. I mean, how differently do you feel as an actor at this point in your life now compared to what you remember about your earliest experiences? Because you're still so young and yet you've had like a full career.
No, for sure. I agree with you on that one. You know, I think it's been really fun and exciting to be able to, I think for lack of a better word, reinvent myself in different facets of my timeline in my life, you know, from being a child actor to being a teen actor to doing romance for the first time on screen and Lost for the first time on screen. And then now, you know, growing up and getting out of the high school years and now, you know, being past and then that kind of like, you know, college sort of range where I can play a first time mother, you know, and a young mother and put in new facets of womanhood and what that looks like. And especially now in a day and age where it's not the tropey female characters that you're given, you know, you're able to play more multifaceted characters that are more interesting and more realistic to the human experience of being a woman. So it's been exciting, you know, and it's been something where I've learned more and more to trust myself and trust my gut. And I'm having more fun, I think, than I've ever had. Yeah.
At the end of this film, your character is faced with a choice in order to give her child the chance at the best life possible.
Uh-huh.
What was your reaction to that ending when you first read it and you felt that moment?
I was sobbing, you know, when I first read that entire moment. It was a sequence for me that I was a little afraid of, you know. I was afraid of it because I wanted to do it justice for Mattson. I wanted to put as much care behind it as I possibly could for him and for the story and to honor his parents and to honor the baby. And I had a rule from the very beginning after reading it the first time. Once I signed on to it, I said, I don't want to walk through it. I don't want to read it out loud. I don't want to rehearse it. I want to see where we're going to be. And on the day, let's just do it because it's something that I didn't want to hear the words more than once. You know, I wanted it to hit in the moment on screen for the first time. And luckily, we shot the film predominantly chronologically. So this was the very end. So we had gone through the mountains, we had fought the androids, we have done these things. And at this point, you know, as a woman, your hormones are all over the place. And I, you know, almost the psychosomatic, you know, mindscape where you feel like it's your child. You know, I had this baby belly and then we did the birthing scene where I held the baby. And then here we are faced with this question. And then I asked Mattson to narrate the letter as I wrote it. And it being the letter from his mother in this way. And it was so compounded that I don't know if I'll have an experience like that on another film. It was very singular, but it was one of the most beautiful and life-changing things I've ever been through, quite frankly, with him beside me. And I was not okay.
Yeah, it's certainly it's a beautiful moment. It's a tragic moment. It's, you know, all of that comes with motherhood anyway. So I think it really, really encapsulates what this story is.
100%. I really think that he did it in a way with the music and the score and the editing as well, that it is everything I think you need as a viewer to feel their story and to walk through that story. It I think was so delicately handled. You know, he really made a movie that I haven't seen before in a lot of ways.
Well, thank you for talking to me about it. Again, beautiful work from you. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christina. I'll talk to you next time.